Well, we're joined now by the film director Ken Loach and the former Cabinet Minister, Lord Heseltine. You think this is a distinction between deserving and undeserving poor that can be made, Lord Heseltine?
Do you know, I don't think that that's going to play a great part in the debate. I don't think it's a particularly helpful distinction. The fact of the matter is a huge number of people who are on benefits of one sort or another have real problems and deserve to be protected and will be protected. At the other extreme, there are those who are swinging the lead. But I think trying to sort of make desert-type distinctions doesn't get you very far.
Do you think a distinction can be made, Ken Loach?
No, I think there's the poor and the rich. But I think we should talk about the undeserving rich. Would perhaps be more interesting if you think of the people who are not paying their fair share tax. You know, that's not fair. Well, and yet there are billions we're losing through that unfairness.
That is quite an interesting point, actually, which Will Hutton raised in that piece of tape, that once you start going into this terrain, it does precisely raise the question, doesn't it? Why bankers who get bailed out by the taxpayer should pay themselves massive bonuses?
That's precisely why I thought it wasn't a particularly helpful analysis. The fact of the matter is, all these decisions are made by politicians, and they try to come to what they believe to be fair and politically right for them. That will remain the case. The essence of what we're talking about is that we're up to our eyeballs in debt, and it's got to be cut. And therefore, it's how you spread the cuts and who pays a contribution towards it. Already, we've seen significant increases in taxes on the rich, but there's going to be a very harsh October 20 statement, and that's got to be fair in its implications.
Can it be fair?
Well, I mean, the top 10% own nearly half the national private wealth, 4,000 billion. A 5% charge on that, tax on that, would wipe out the debt. So, I mean, let the richest, the ones who have benefited from this bonanza, from the bank's failure, let them pay. Why not? That's fair. The rich should pay, shouldn't they?
Well, you would, of course, have immigration from this country.
So the rich have to be bribed to stay here, but the poor have to be bullied back into work.
This business, this is the language that has been wholly rejected across the world in every advanced society. This is yesterday's claptrap.
Which isn't. Well, unfortunately,
we live in a global economy
today,
where freedom enables people to decide where to live, where to invest, where to create jobs. And if you think that you can attract them and keep them here,
the poor
with
don't
that
have
sort
that
of
freedom,
dogma,
of course.
I tell you would
No, I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not, Lord Heseltine.
A desert of wealth creation.
There's a massive attack on ordinary working people. The attack on housing benefit is going to put thousands out of work. You're going to end up with London rich in the middle, the less well-off around the edge, and poor ghettos. It's estimated 80,000 people might have to lose their homes, where their family and their friends support them, because the housing benefit will be cut. And the landlords who set the rent, not the poor, the answer is that the landlords rent should be capped. So
are you suggesting the poor should make no contribution at all?
Well, when you say there are 2.5 million unemployed.
And they should make no contribution?
Contribution in terms of what? I mean, first of all, we've got to find work, haven't we? I mean, Lord Heseltine's system doesn't provide that. 2.5 million out of work, 500,000 jobs. That's 1 in 5 of the unemployed will get work.
Have I missed something? Forgive me. We've had 13 years of Labour government. That's where we got. But you're telling me my system. You're telling my system. I'm telling you, we had 13 years of Labour government, 2.5 million people, and you're trying to put the responsibility on me.
No. Well, how many were unemployed when you were there? 3 million.
That was in 1981 in the 80s, as a result of clearing up another mess of a Labour government. You remember the winter of discontent? That was the problem that we faced then. Every single Labour government leaves with a crisis.
This man was part of the destruction of our industrial base. This is the man who destroyed communities, and your clique destroyed communities, and families grew up in poverty, in unemployment. The kids, the less able kids turned to drugs, and that they appeared, and you and your clique wrecked this country and its industrial base. I wonder you have the cheek to sit there and speak about that.
And so 13 years on, with a Labour government and the worst level of indebtedness in this country in its history, and you'll say this is the Tories that did it. Where have you been for 13 years?
I'm afraid it's not. New Labour was Tory light. It was the same. It's the privatisation continued.
So if you get a Tory government, it's our fault, and if you get a Labour government,
of
it's our
policy
fault
there.
as well. It's a wonderful conspiracy theory.
Well, you were the person who argued that Margaret Thatcher changed the landscape.
But she did.
Precisely.
So
That's
what
his
we
point.
No,
There wasn't a difference.
no. But we actually created one of the best economic inheritances the Labour Party could ever have had.
You created
that's
mass
why.
unemployment.
That's why
You
in the
created
early
mass
years of
unemployment,
New
you wrecked
Labour,
families,
they said
you
they would
destroyed our
not change
industrial
the
base.
profile of the Tory policy because it was so good.
It was so good for some,
For
not for others.
It was
Hardly
good enough for
3
the
million
incoming
unemployed
Labour
you
Party.
created.
The Labour government said they would stick with it.
Look, you shouldn't put me in the position of defending Blair
Well,
and
what
his
are you
cronies.
defending, except
Well,
the sort of crypto-communist lot of claptrap?
No, well, I think a rather more adult conversation than just abuse. But your system created that mass unemployment. It created the destroyed communities, and we've lived with that, haven't we? We've lived with that for the decades since. And now, how many unemployed are going to be created after this cuts? We've got 2.5 million now.
Well,
All
let's
these
just
60
take-
billion
let-
cuts.
let us just
the
take-
estimate is,
yeah.
hang on, if I may finish this
Yeah,
point.
okay.
The estimate
Quickly.
is there will be 4 million unemployed.
Yeah, okay.
Now think of the wreckage that will create to families.
Complete rubbish. It's complete.
Well, we don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
look,
well,
because
we
we
don't
can't
know.
know the
We
future.
don't know.
But all the independent commentators were once talking about 3 million. They're now talking about 2.5, which is
we
a
have 2.5
static-
now.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
They
yeah.
are
And
talking
600,000
about
public sector
unemployment
jobs.
is hardly moving.
we can all agree we're in the realm of speculation. We do not know, and
Yeah,
we will
that's
find
true.
out
Yeah.
one way or the other
Yeah.
shortly. Thank you
But
both very
we
much.
do know there are massive cuts coming.
Okay. Yeah, we certainly know that.
But
Yes,
go
and
through
that will
the-
create
go through
unemployment.
the private sector to match it.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks.